The Galactic Council mocked humanity until they severed diplomacy. Part 1. First Contact and Ridicule. Daniel Wright straightened his formal diplomatic uniform for the 5th time in as many minutes. Through the curved viewport of Luna Base, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Soon, humanity would no longer be alone in the universe. "Ambassador, they've entered lunar orbit," said Olivia Reed, checking her tablet. The young communications specialist's voice betrayed both excitement and nervousness. "Their vessel it's unlike anything we've ever built." Daniel nodded, trying to project confidence for his team. "Remember, everyone, we represent all of humanity today. First impressions matter." The year was 2089. Humanity had established permanent colonies on Mars and Europa, developed fusion power, and cured most forms of cancer. The United Planetary Government had unified Earth's nations after the climate wars. They were proud of their accomplishments, until 3 months ago, when the transmission arrived. The Galactic Council, a federation of 13 advanced species, had been watching Earth for decades. Now they deemed humans sufficiently developed for initial contact. The message contained coordinates for this meeting on humanity's most impressive off-world facility, Luna Base. "They're docking now, sir," said Commander Frank Harrison, Luna's security chief. "Atmospheric composition has been adjusted to their specifications in the reception hall." Daniel took a deep breath. "Let's go welcome our new galactic neighbors." The Earth delegation assembled in the Grand Reception Hall, Luna Base's crown jewel with its 20-meter-high transparent dome showing the star-filled sky above. The room fell silent as the airlock doors slid open. The aliens entered in what could only be described as a procession. Leading them was a tall, slender being with iridescent blue-green skin and 4 arms. Behind this figure came representatives of various species, some insectoid, others vaguely reptilian or mammalian, and a few defying any Earth classification. "Greetings." Daniel stepped forward with a slight bow. "I am Ambassador Daniel Wright of Earth. On behalf of humanity, we welcome you to Luna Base and express our profound hope for friendship between our peoples." The 4-armed being looked down at Daniel, literally, as it stood nearly 3 meters tall. "I am High Counselor Zex Terra of the Viridian Collective, senior representative of the Galactic Council." Its voice had an odd musical quality, translated through devices each alien wore. "We accept your quaint welcome." Something in the way Zexatara paused made Daniel's diplomatic instincts flare with concern. "We've prepared a tour of our facility," Daniel continued, "followed by a formal dinner where we can begin discussions about cultural and technological exchange." A shorter, gray-skinned alien with bulbous eyes made a chittering sound. The translation came through. "They wish to show us their technology. How amusing." Several council members failed to hide their equivalent of smiles or chuckles. Olivia Reed, standing slightly behind Daniel, frowned. Her neural translator, an experimental device she had designed, was picking up side conversations among the aliens that their official translators weren't broadcasting, like children showing crude drawings. Surprised they made it off their planet without destroying themselves. Viridians think they might be useful test subjects. The tour proceeded awkwardly. At the fusion reactor that powered Luna Base, humanity's proudest technological achievement, a 6-limbed insectoid being named Counselor Krizix tapped the shielding with a limb. "Fascinating. You generate power using controlled fusion. My species mastered this technology before we developed written language." The alien's compound eyes reflected the blue glow of the reactor. "But for primitives, it's quite an achievement." In the agricultural dome, a reptilian counselor named Drex examined the hydroponic system and snorted. "Inefficient. Your plants contain barely 1/10 the nutrients of standard galactic flora. No wonder your species has such short lifespans." With each stop on the tour, the condescension grew more obvious. The Earth delegation exchanged uncomfortable glances, professional smiles strained to breaking points. The final insult came during the formal dinner. Earth's finest chefs had prepared a carefully researched menu safe for all the alien physiologies. As servers presented the first course, Zextara raised a hand. While we appreciate the effort, we brought our own sustenance. The counselors each produced small devices that materialized food directly before them. Your biochemistry is quite basic. We wouldn't want to risk contamination from either direction. Daniel maintained his diplomatic smile through sheer willpower. Of course, we understand completely. As the meal progressed, Daniel tried steering conversation toward potential cooperation. Earth would be honored to learn from the Galactic Council. We have much to offer as well. Our art, philosophy, unique scientific perspectives. Yes, interrupted Counselor Drex, waving a clawed hand dismissively. All young species believe they have special contributions. It's endearing, really. Counselor. Krizix chittered something in their native language that made the other aliens laugh. Olivia's neural translator caught it. Like watching a Zerbit attempt mathematics. Olivia leaned toward Daniel, whispering, "Sir, my translator is picking up their side conversations. They're mocking us." Daniel gave an almost imperceptible nod but continued the diplomatic dialogue. After dinner, Zextara stood to make a formal address. The Galactic Council has evaluated your species and deemed Earth eligible for probationary status within our collective. A holographic document appeared floating above the table. This grants humans limited travel rights. Within Council space, regulated technology transfer and observation posts within your solar system. In return, you will provide resource quotas and agree to Council oversight of all further development. Daniel read between the lines immediately. This wasn't an offer of alliance. It was barely a step above colonization. That's very generous, he said carefully. Our government will need time to review these terms. Of course, Zextara's forearms moved in a graceful gesture. Though I should note that all species at your development stage have benefited tremendously from our guidance. Those few who declined often encountered difficulties. The threat was thinly veiled. Later, after the Council representatives returned to their ship, Earth's delegation gathered in a secure conference room. "They see us as children," Olivia said, playing back translated recordings. "Worse, as pets or laboratory specimens." Commander Harrison slammed his fist on the table. "We should reject their offer immediately. Earth won't be dictated to by arrogant aliens." Daniel removed his formal jacket, suddenly feeling very tired. If we reject them outright, we risk isolation or worse. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. "So we just accept being treated like primitives?" asked Olivia. Daniel stared at Earth through the viewport. "For now, we accept probationary status. We smile, we learn, we gather intelligence. And meanwhile, Harrison prompted. Meanwhile, we prepare. If the Galactic Council won't treat humanity as equals, we'll need to become strong enough that they have no choice." As Luna Base's lights dimmed to simulate night, Daniel drafted his report to Earth's government. The stars outside seemed colder now, the universe larger and more dangerous than humanity had imagined. First contact had not brought the partnership they'd hoped for. Instead, it brought the realization that the galaxy was filled with powers that viewed humans as little more than clever animals. But they would learn. And someday, the Galactic Council would regret their mockery. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until they severed diplomacy, Part 2. The pattern of disrespect 5 years passed since first contact. Earth had changed. The gleaming Galactic Council Tower in Geneva stood 20 stories tall, its strange architecture unlike anything humans had designed. Similar outposts existed on Mars, Europa, and most recently Titan. Dr. Alan Mitchell stared at the rejection notice on his screen, then removed his glasses and rubbed his tired eyes. For the third time, the Council's Science Directorate had dismissed his research on dark energy manipulation. He had dedicated his life to this work. They didn't even read it this time. He muttered to his assistant. "Look at the timestamp. I submitted the paper 6 minutes ago." His assistant, Ben Fuller, shook his head. "Maybe try again with different wording?" It wouldn't matter. Alan closed his laptop. The Viridian scientist Mokhtara is presenting at the Galactic Symposium tomorrow. I'm going. The symposium was held in orbit around Jupiter on a massive council vessel. Humans were permitted to attend, but rarely allowed to present. When Alan arrived, he found himself among thousands of scientists from across the galaxy. Many species he had never seen before moved through the grand hall. Alan took a seat near the back as High Scientist Mokhtara took the stage. The Viridian looked remarkably like High Counselor Zexatera. Alan had learned they were from the same genetic lineage. Today, I will demonstrate proper understanding of dark energy principles, Mokhtara announced. As the presentation continued, Alan grew increasingly uncomfortable. The equations on display, the theoretical framework, they were his work, slightly modified. 5 years of his research presented without credit. Then came the final insult. Mokhtara displayed Alan's original submission on the massive screen. As an educational aside, I wanted to share this quaint attempt at dark energy theory from a human scientist. Laughter rippled through the audience. Note the adorable misconceptions in sections 3 through 7. Alan sat frozen as his life's work was ridiculed before the galactic scientific community. His face burned with humiliation as the alien scientists chuckled. The human fails to account for 11 dimensions in his calculations, Mokhtara continued. One can hardly blame him. Their brains simply haven't evolved the capacity yet. More laughter. Alan stood and walked out, his steps echoing in the vast chamber. Meanwhile, near Saturn, Captain Samantha Kelly commanded the Earth vessel, Horizon. Her mission, to study the strange storms on Titan where the Council had recently established their outpost. Council vessel approaching, Captain, reported her navigator, Peter Walsh. Samantha straightened her uniform. Open communications. On the view screen appeared a reptilian Arturian officer. Earth vessel Horizon, you are entering. Restricted space. Turn back immediately. Restricted? This is Saturn's orbit. Under the treaty, human ships have full access to our entire solar system. The Arturian scales shifted color slightly. What Samantha had learned was their equivalent of an amused smile. The Council has designated all space beyond the asteroid belt as restricted to human vessels without Council escorts. For your own safety, of course. We have no record of this change, Samantha protested. Our mission is approved by Earth's government. The decision was made yesterday. Return to Mars orbit or face consequences. Samantha felt her crew watching. She had followed regulations her entire career. We have the right to be here. I'm continuing our mission. The view screen went blank. Seconds later, the Horizon shuddered violently. All systems failing, Peter shouted. We've been hit with some kind of energy pulse. The ship drifted powerless. It took 3 hours for emergency systems to come back online. When they did, a message waited from the Council vessel. A lesson in humility. Next time, there will be no restart. The Council knows what's best for developing species. It took 2 weeks for the Horizon to limp back to Mars. When Samantha filed her report, she learned that 15 other Earth vessels had experienced similar incidents. On Earth, Vice Ambassador Greg Porter was having an equally frustrating day. High Counselor Zextara had requested a meeting at the Geneva Tower. Thank you for coming, Ambassador Porter, Zextara said, not bothering to stand as Greg entered. We have concerns about your upcoming leadership selection. Greg sat stiffly. Our elections are internal matters. Of course. 2 of Zextara's 4 hands made dismissive gestures. However, candidate Eliza Morales has expressed views that are problematic. Her platform of increased human autonomy and faster technology development shows a lack of appreciation for Council guidance. The Council doesn't get to approve our candidates, Greg stated firmly. True, but we can withdraw technology sharing programs and transit permissions if we feel Earth is not ready for advanced concepts. Zextara's eyes narrowed. Candidate Richard Lawson, however, understands the value of Council oversight. He would be more suitable. Greg contained his anger. I'll convey your input to the proper authorities. That evening, Greg met with Ambassador Daniel Wright, who had aged considerably under the stress of 5 years of diplomacy with the council. "They're interfering in our elections now," Greg reported. Daniel nodded wearily. "That's not all. The medical directorate has rejected our request for cell regeneration technology again. It could cure Williamson's disease." "Did they say why?" "The same reason they always give. Humans aren't ready. Meanwhile, 10,000 children die from it every year." Daniel's hands shook slightly as he poured himself a drink. "What's our alternative? Severing ties would leave us even more vulnerable." The next day brought another crisis. A council mining operation had been discovered extracting rare minerals from deep within Mercury without permission or compensation. When Greg raised the issue during the scheduled diplomatic meeting, he received only condescension in return. "Perhaps in another millennium or two," said Zexatera with what approximated a patronizing smile, "humans might develop the cognitive capacity to understand why our approach is for their own good." Greg's frustration boiled over. "We've been patient. We've followed your rules, yet you steal our resources, interfere in our politics, and treat us like children." "You are children," Counselor Drex interjected. "Extraordinarily young ones at that. The Council has guided dozens of species through their developmental stages. And how many of those species retain their cultural identity? Their autonomy?" Greg demanded. The Council members exchanged looks that needed no translation, amusement mixed with pity. Later that night, Greg found Daniel staring out at the Geneva skyline, the alien tower casting strange shadows across the ancient city. "We're losing ourselves," Daniel said quietly. "Our science, our exploration, even our politics, all bent to their will. Each year they're here, we become less human and more servants." Greg joined him at the window. "There's talk of resistance, underground research, military preparations. It won't be enough. Their technology is too advanced. Then what do we do?" Daniel turned, his expression hardening with resolve that hadn't been there in years. "We find another way. If they won't respect us as we are, then we'll become something they can't ignore." On Titan, deep beneath the Council outpost, secret communications flew between human colonies. In laboratories hidden from alien sensors, human scientists worked on technologies the Council would never approve. In orbital shipyards disguised as waste processing centers, engineers designed vessels unlike any seen before. The pattern of disrespect continued, but something was changing. Humanity's patience was running out. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until they severed diplomacy. Part 3, The Breaking Point Doctor. Nicole Sanders took a deep breath as the shuttle approached Jupiter's diplomatic station. After Ambassador Daniel Wright's retirement, she had been chosen as Earth's new representative to the Galactic Council. At 42, she was younger than most expected for such a position, but her background in both xenobiology and international law made her uniquely qualified. "Nervous?" asked her aide, Kevin Walsh. The junior diplomat was barely 30 with an uncanny talent for languages that had earned him a place on her team. "Determined," Nicole replied. 8 years of this treatment is enough. Something has to change." It was 2097. Earth had endured nearly a decade of the Council's condescension. Officially, humanity was grateful for the Council's guidance. Unofficially, resentment had reached a breaking point. The Jupiter station was a marvel of alien engineering, a massive ring structure orbiting the gas giant. As they docked, Nicole noted the small section allocated for human quarters, barely 15% of the station, despite this being in Earth's home system. The scheduled conference was meant to discuss resource management within the Sol system. Representatives from all 13 council species would attend. Nicole had prepared extensively, but she also carried evidence of something the council did not expect her to know about. In the grand meeting chamber, Nicole took her assigned seat, noticeably lower than the other chairs, forcing her to look up at the alien representatives, a deliberate choice, she was certain. High Counselor Zexatara opened the proceedings. "We gather to discuss optimal resource utilization within this system. The human government has expressed concerns about extraction quotas." Nicole nodded. Earth's complaint is simple. The current quotas exceed sustainable levels for Mars and Venus. We request a 30% reduction. Councillor Drex, the Arturian representative who had grown even more disdainful over the years, made a dismissive gesture. Your scientists lack the understanding to determine sustainability. Our models are far superior. Perhaps, Nicole conceded, but we live here. We see the consequences firsthand. The Council has managed thousands of systems, said a bulbous-eyed Kral representative. Your perspective is limited to a single planet until recently. The discussion continued this way, for hours. Every human concern was dismissed, every request was denied. Nicole maintained her composure, waiting for the right moment. Finally, as the meeting seemed to be concluding, she spoke up. There is one more matter to discuss. She activated her datapad, and a holographic image appeared above the table, detailed. Scans of Neptune's moon Triton, showing massive excavation sites. Would someone explain these operations? They're not on any approved list. The chamber fell silent. Several council members exchanged glances. Zexatara recovered first. Those are scientific outposts, nothing more. Nicole zoomed in on the images. These are clearly mining operations extracting helium-3 and several rare elements. They've been active for at least 2 years. No permission was sought. No compensation offered. Permission? Drex laughed openly, a harsh sound from his reptilian throat. We don't need permission to conduct operations in this system. According to the treaty signed 8 years ago, you do, Nicole countered. This is theft on a planetary scale. The Kral representative blinked rapidly. The treaty was a courtesy. Surely you don't believe your territorial claims extend to worlds you cannot even reach yourself? Nicole felt her anger rising but kept her voice level. Triton is within our solar system, under interstellar law, your law, that gives us primary claim. Zextara's 4 hands made a complex gesture that Nicole had learned signified amusement mixed with impatience. Interstellar law makes allowances for developing species. Your understanding of the legal framework is incomplete. We've studied the full legal codes you provided, Nicole insisted. There are no such exceptions. There are nuances that don't translate well to primitive languages, said Drex with obvious enjoyment. Your linguistic capabilities are simply inadequate. Several council members laughed openly now, not bothering to hide their mockery. Drex continued, his voice dripping with contempt. You should be grateful we don't simply take over Earth. Humans are barely more advanced than the livestock species on many council worlds. The chamber erupted in alien laughter. Nicole sat stunned by the blatant insult. What no one noticed was Kevin Walsh quietly slipping from the room. 2 hours later, the meeting finally ended. Nothing had been resolved. The council dismissed all human concerns and made it clear they would continue their operations on Triton as they saw fit. Nicole returned to the human quarters, defeated and humiliated. She found Kevin waiting for her, his expression grim but determined. I did something, Ambassador, he said. Something that might get me fired. What? Nicole asked, too exhausted to be angry. I recorded the entire meeting. I transmitted it back to Earth, unedited. It's being broadcast globally right now. Nicole stared at him. You what? People needed to see how they treat us. The uncensored truth, not the diplomatic summaries. For 8 years, most humans had known the council was condescending, but few understood the depth of the disrespect. The heavily edited official records never captured the tone, the laughter, the open mockery. Nicole's communicator began buzzing with incoming messages. The first was from the Earth government. Emergency session called. Return immediately. The second was from a council security officer. Human delegate Walsh to be detained for unauthorized transmission. Nicole grabbed Kevin's arm. We need to leave. Now? They barely made it to their shuttle before council security arrived. As they undocked, Nicole saw the confusion on the alien faces. No human had ever defied a council order so openly before. Back on Earth, the reaction was explosive. The recording had gone viral. Billions of humans heard Counselor Drex compare them to livestock. They watched alien representatives laugh at humanity's concerns about their own planets. They saw for the first time the true face of their benevolent guides. Massive protests erupted outside all council facilities on Earth and its colonies. Signs declared the No More Mockery and Earth for Humans. 3 days later, Nicole stood before the United Planetary Government emergency session. The chamber was packed with representatives from every human settlement, from Earth to the outer colonies. "We have 3 options," Nicole told them. "First, continue as we have been, accepting their contempt while they exploit our system. Second, open rebellion, which would be suicidal given their technological advantage. And the third?" asked the UPG president. "We sever all diplomatic ties completely. We isolate ourselves from the council and pursue our own path among the stars." The debate lasted for hours. Some feared the council's reaction. Others worried about losing access to advanced technology. But as the recording played again on screens throughout the chamber, the decision became clear. The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would sever all ties with the Galactic Council. The next day, Nicole returned to the Jupiter station alone. She requested an immediate audience with the full council. "The United Planetary Government of Earth has made its decision," she announced to the assembled aliens. "Until the council can approach humanity with the respect due to equals, Earth will pursue its own destiny among the stars. All diplomatic ties are hereby severed. All council personnel must leave our system within 30 days. Laughter rippled through the chamber. "You'll come crawling back within a year," Drex predicted. "Without our guidance, you'll stagnate." Zex Tara's expression held something almost like pity. "This emotional reaction is why humans need oversight. When you realize the error of this decision, contact us. Perhaps we can renegotiate terms." Nicole said nothing more. She turned and walked out of the chamber, her back straight, her resolve unshaken. The breaking point had been reached. Humanity had chosen isolation over humiliation. What no one, human or alien, could predict was what would come next. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until they severed diplomacy for silent advancement. The Council ships departed one by one, their sleek forms rising from Earth, Mars, and the other human settlements. At the edge of the solar system, they established a small monitoring station, certain they would be invited back soon. On Earth, opinions were divided. Some feared isolation, others celebrated freedom, but most shared a grim determination. Humanity would forge its own path. Director Maya Peterson stood at the window of her office in the Advanced Technologies Division, watching workers remove the last traces of council signage from the building that had once been their Earth headquarters. "It's official," said her assistant. "The last council ship has passed Neptune's orbit. We're on our own." Maya nodded. "Then we can finally begin." For years, Maya had secretly led a network of scientists who studied council technology whenever possible. What the aliens never realized was that humans excelled at reverse engineering. Every piece of alien tech left unattended had been scanned, analyzed, and in some cases quietly disassembled. Now those efforts could move into the open. "Send the activation codes to all research centers," Maya ordered. Project Phoenix begins today. Across Earth and its colonies, hidden laboratories powered up. Scientists who had worked in secret for years emerged to share their findings. Within weeks, breakthroughs that had been suppressed by the Council were flowing freely. Engineer Paul Rodriguez worked in a massive facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. His team had spent 3 years studying the principles behind Council ships. "Their propulsion system relies on manipulating space itself," he explained to Maya during her inspection. "But they use a very specific approach. We found a different method." He activated a small prototype, and a sphere of distorted space appeared above the device. "Their system requires exotic materials found only in specific star systems, all Council-controlled. But our approach uses common elements reconfigured at the quantum level." Maya watched the demonstration with growing excitement. "How soon until we can build a working ship?" Paul grinned. "We already have. It's small, but it works. We've been testing it in the asteroid belt, away from Council sensors. Meanwhile, at The Luna Military Academy. Strategist Eric Bennett reviewed recordings of Council ships and weapon systems with his team. They rely heavily on their shield technology, he pointed out. Everything in their design assumes those shields are impenetrable. But look here. He showed a slowed-down recording of a Council ship activating its weapons. There's a microscopic power fluctuation in their shields when they fire. Less than half a second, but it's consistent. No one could target that precisely, objected one of his officers. A human couldn't, Eric agreed. But an AI weapons system could. And the Council has always underestimated our artificial intelligence capabilities. They consider AI dangerous and limit its development. In a research facility on Mars, geneticist Laura Hamilton made perhaps the most important breakthrough of all. The Council believes humans are intellectually limited by our biology, she told her team. But they're wrong. Our neural plasticity is actually superior to most Council species. Her laboratory contained advanced brain scanning equipment, all built without Council knowledge. I've developed a method to enhance human cognitive function using targeted gene activation. Not a permanent change to our DNA, but a way to unlock dormant potential in existing humans. The first volunteer subject showed a 30% increase in problem-solving ability and a 40% improvement in memory retention. More importantly, they retained their creativity and emotional intelligence, traits the Council had always dismissed as primitive. Years passed. The Council monitoring station observed human ships traveling between planets in the solar system, using the same technology as before the separation. Their reports indicated that humanity was continuing normal development, perhaps even regressing, without Council guidance. What they couldn't see were the quantum communications networks that had replaced traditional systems, undetectable to Council sensors. They didn't detect the hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt, building vessels unlike anything seen before. They had no idea that humans had established outposts beyond Pluto, carefully shielded from observation. By 2115, 18 years after, severing ties, humanity was ready for its next step. Captain Olivia Reed, once a young communications specialist who had witnessed the Council's first mockery of humanity, now commanded Earth's most advanced ship, the Pathfinder. Final checks. Complete, reported her first officer, Lieutenant Jack Nelson. Quantum drive is stable. Stealth systems active. Olivia nodded. Crew status? All personnel are in cognitive enhancement phase and ready for jump. This would be humanity's first journey beyond their solar system without using established Council routes. The ship looked nothing like Council vessels. It was smaller, more angular, with technology the aliens had never seen. Begin final countdown, Olivia ordered. Remember, absolute communication silence once we're beyond the heliopause. The Council must not know we're gone. The Pathfinder slipped past the Council monitoring station undetected. When it reached the edge of the solar system, the quantum drive activated. Space itself seemed to fold around the ship, and then it was gone. Their destination, a star system 12 light-years from Earth that Council records had marked as uninhabitable. Human scans, however, had detected signs of potential civilization. When they arrived, they found not one but 3 species living in the system. All had been visited by the Council and deemed primitive. All had been placed under restrictions similar to what humans had experienced. The Navari, a crystalline species with an ancient culture. The Duran, methane breathers with remarkable mathematical abilities. And the Elcor, a proud warrior race who had fought against Council control until they were forced to submit. When Olivia's ship appeared in their system, they initially prepared for another Council visit. But the Pathfinder was unlike any vessel they had seen. Using her old skills as a communications specialist, Olivia established contact. We are humans from Earth. Like you, we have been judged and found wanting by the Galactic Council. We come, not to conquer or control, but to offer alliance. The 3 species were suspicious at first, but when Olivia shared recordings of how the Council had treated humanity and explained how Earth had developed in secret, they recognized a shared experience. The Navari elder spoke for all 3 species. The Council told us we were alone in our resistance, that all wise species accepted their guidance, You have proven this is a lie. Within days, agreements were drafted. Within weeks, human scientists were sharing technology with their new allies. The Navari offered crystal computing techniques, far beyond anything Earth had developed. The Duran shared mathematical concepts that revolutionized human physics. The Elcor provided military strategies tested against Council defenses. Together, they contacted other star systems with primitive species, creating a network of mutual support and advancement, all beyond the Council's awareness. On Earth, Director Maya Peterson received Olivia's first report and smiled. "Begin Phase 2, she instructed her team. "It's time to expand our reach." Throughout Council space, species that had bowed to alien superiority for centuries watched in secret as a new alliance formed in the shadows. An alliance of equals, built not on mockery and control, but on respect and cooperation. The Council remained blissfully unaware, still watching Earth's solar system, still expecting humans to come crawling back, begging for readmission. They had no idea what was coming. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until they severed diplomacy. Part 5. The return. 30 years had passed since Earth severed ties with the Galactic Council. In that time, the alliance of free species had grown to include 27 human colony worlds and 4 allied alien civilizations. Their combined territory spanned a section of the galaxy the Council had always dismissed as underdeveloped space. Admiral Olivia Reed, now in her 60s but still sharp thanks to cognitive enhancement treatments, stood on the bridge of the AFS Defiant. The massive ship was humanity's flagship, 10 times larger than the Pathfinder she had commanded years before. Around it, 1,000 vessels from various Alliance worlds formed the largest fleet ever assembled. "Status report," Olivia ordered. Her executive officer, Commander Jason Miller, checked his console. "All ships report ready, Admiral. Quantum drives synchronized. The Council still has no idea we're coming." Olivia nodded. For 3 decades, the Alliance had maintained absolute secrecy. Their ships used technologies the Council couldn't detect. Their communications were impossible to intercept. As far as the Council knew, humans were still limited to their own solar system, and the other Alliance species remained primitive civilizations on isolated worlds. "The latest intelligence?" she asked. "Confirmed," Jason replied. "The Council is facing a crisis unlike anything in their history. The Void Swarm attacks have destroyed 3 major Council worlds. Their defenses are failing. The Void Swarm had appeared from beyond the galaxy's edge 2 years earlier, strange, insect-like entities that consumed everything in their path. The Council's weapons proved ineffective against them. Their shields couldn't withstand the Swarm's unique energy patterns. Their distress broadcasts continue," Jason added. "They're calling for help from any advanced civilization. They've even mentioned reaching out to lesser species in desperation." Olivia allowed herself a small smile. "Including those stubborn humans, if they haven't destroyed themselves by now." "I believe those were High Chancellor Zexitara's exact words." "Yes, Admiral. Intercepted just yesterday." Olivia turned to face her bridge crew, a mix of humans and Alliance species. "The Council mocked us all. They treated us as children, as livestock, as primitives. Now they face extinction and suddenly remember we exist." She paused, looking at each face in turn. "We could let them fall. Some would say they deserve it." Murmurs of agreement came from several stations, but the Alliance was not built on vengeance. We were founded on mutual respect and cooperation, everything the Council failed to give us. Today we show them the difference. Olivia turned back to the view screen. "All ships, prepare for quantum jump. Destination, Council capital." Across 1,000 vessels, crews finalized preparations. Unlike Council ships, Alliance vessels didn't require exotic materials for their drives. They used technologies developed through the combined brilliance of multiple species working as equals. Quantum jump in 3, 2, 1. Space folded around. The fleet. Stars blurred and stretched. Then, with a flash of energy undetectable to Council sensors, the ships vanished. On the Council's capital world of Viridian Prime, the situation was desperate. The massive ring-shaped council chamber, once a symbol of galactic dominance, now served as a crisis center. Representatives from all council species gathered in emergency session. High Chancellor Zexitara, now ancient even by Viridian standards, addressed the assembly. The Void Swarm has breached our outer defenses. Projections indicate they will reach this system within 15 days. Our weapons cannot stop them. Councillor Drex, his scales now faded with age, spoke next. We must evacuate the core worlds. Abandon the outer territories. Evacuate to where? Demanded the Kral representative. The swarm is approaching from multiple vectors. There is nowhere to run. As panic spread through the chamber, a junior officer burst in. High Chancellor, 1,000 ships have appeared in orbit. They're unlike anything in our records. The chamber erupted in chaos. On the massive display screen, images appeared. Of the mysterious fleet, ships of varied designs, clearly built by different species yet operating in perfect coordination. Are they Void Swarm vessels? Zexitara demanded. No, Chancellor, they're requesting permission to address the Council. Who are they? Before the officer could answer, the screen changed. Admiral Olivia Reed appeared, her uniform bearing insignia unknown to the Council. I am Admiral Olivia Reed of the Alliance of Free Species. We have received your distress calls and have come to offer assistance. Zexitara stared in shock. A human? Impossible. Olivia continued. With your permission, I will come aboard your station with representatives from our alliance to discuss the terms of our assistance. Minutes later, Olivia walked into the council chamber alongside delegates from the Navari, Durin, Elcor, and 3 other species the council had once deemed primitive. The chamber fell silent as they approached. Zexitara recovered enough to speak. How is this possible? You are just humans, and these others, they are undeveloped worlds. We were, Olivia agreed, until we stopped believing your assessment of us. She activated a small device and a holographic display appeared, showing Alliance territory, a vast section of space the Council had never bothered to properly explore. While you watched our solar system expecting us to come crawling back, we expanded, we built, we formed alliances with others you had dismissed. Together, we developed technologies you never imagined because your arrogance limited your vision. The council members stared in disbelief as Olivia displayed Alliance achievements. Quantum drives that didn't require exotic materials, shield, technologies that could withstand Void Swarm attacks, weapon systems that targeted the Swarm's vulnerabilities. You mock what you don't understand, Olivia continued. You dismissed human creativity, Navari intuition, Durin mathematics, Elcor strategy. Together, these traits created solutions you couldn't find. Councillor Drex found his voice. Why have you come? To gloat as we face extinction? We've come to help, Olivia replied simply. But not as subordinates, not as children, as equals. She laid out the alliance terms. The dissolution of the current council structure and establishment of a galactic alliance where all species, regardless of age or origin, would have equal voice. This is outrageous, Drex protested. The Council has stood for 50,000 years. Olivia met his gaze. And in 30 years we accomplished what you couldn't in 50,000. Perhaps it's time for a new approach. To demonstrate Alliance capabilities, Olivia activated another device. Instantly, all Council security systems went offline. Their communications failed. For 5 seconds, the mighty Council was completely helpless. As systems came back online, Olivia spoke quietly. That was just a demonstration. We could have come as conquerors, as you once joked about becoming to us. Instead, we offer partnership. She gestured to her Alliance colleagues. Each species brings unique strengths. The Navari developed the shield technology that can protect against the Void Swarm. The Durin created the mathematical models that predict swarm movements. The Elcor designed the weapons that can penetrate swarm defenses. And humans? We brought everyone together. In the silence that followed, Zexitara looked around the chamber at the representatives of a civilization that had stood unchallenged for millennia, now facing extinction without help. The Council will need time to consider, he began. You don't have time, Olivia interrupted. The Void Swarm will reach this system in 15 days. Our fleet is ready to defend it, but only under alliance terms. She stepped closer to the ancient Viridian. 30 years ago, I stood in this chamber as a junior communications specialist. I heard your people mock mine. I watched you treat us as children. Now I offer you salvation not out of vengeance, but because the Alliance believes all sentient beings deserve respect, even those who denied it to others. For the first time in recorded history, a council session ended with the High Chancellor yielding to another's terms. The agreement was drafted immediately. The Galactic Council would dissolve. The Galactic Alliance would form in its place. All species would have equal voice and equal rights. As Olivia returned to her ship, she looked back at the council station, a symbol of arrogance soon to be transformed. Admiral, Jason said quietly, do you think they've really changed? Or are they just desperate? Olivia smiled. Change rarely comes from comfort. Sometimes the greatest teacher is necessity. She looked out at the stars, no longer distant points of light, but homes to Alliance worlds and future partners. The galaxy is changing, Commander, and this time, no one will be mocked for their place in it.